Hi. Can you hear me okay? So for those of you I may not have met, my name is Mike Hewlin. I am the father of the bride, and I would like to welcome you on behalf of Matt and Lauren to this wonderful occasion. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to our wedding planners, Andrea, Lauren, Sarah, having a conference call every week for about the last 6 years. Matt, Sarah, Brenda, George. I think I said Sarah twice, sorry. We'd like to welcome all of our guests, our family, our friends. And I'd like you guys to remember, these are your people, okay? Call them when you need something. They're always here for you. I had some notes written for like the last 2 years since Matt proposed. But I came across something today. I went out for a little walk. It turned into a run, and I'm walking down the street to start, and on LaSalle, I see a bride and groom getting photographed in the middle of the street. This is beautiful. Saw a young fellow with a stroller and a baby and a toddler that he's walking. The sun is shining. It's bright blue. It was just amazing. And I think we all have a lot to give thanks for. And I would like to say, I know there's a lot of stuff that you see on the news. There's a lot of good things in this world, and this is a great example of it. So as you know, Lauren is our firstborn child. And as you also may know, being a parent changes you. It changes you in a lot of ways, and it changes you over a duration of time. You know, you bring this baby home from the hospital, and you're all of a sudden not just responsible for you and your spouse, but you've got to take care of this baby, this infant, and there's no instruction manual. You're trying to figure it out. And you do because innately you know what to do the minute you bring that child home, and you figure it out, and you make it happen. And you change continuously. I've found you change continuously throughout the life of that child. That child changes you. The firstborn's always special. Not that you love them any more or less, but because everything is a first, right? The first changing of the diapers, the first bath, the first walk, the first doctor visit, all that stuff is a first. By the second child, the rules maybe are a little more lax. The third child, leash gets a little longer. Rules are slightly less rigid. But Lauren as a child, she was timid early, right? She was a rule follower. She was always asking, like you'd say, hey, Lauren, go do this. And she'd be like backing behind me like, I'm not trying that. I don't know how to do that. She was definitely a rule follower. She was always asking, hey, are they supposed to do that? I don't think they can do that. They shouldn't be doing that. I'm not saying she was a snitch, but she was definitely a rule follower. She was a perfectionist. She wasn't willing to try something new until she knew she could do it to perfection. And she'd sit back and watch these kids doing these things. And until she was confident she could do it, she wasn't trying it. But then once she did, she was fine. But as she matured, she started to grow in those abilities and her confidence. She went off to the University of Michigan in the School of Art and Design. Pretty quickly figured out those artists are a little too far out there for me. And then she developed a love for data and spreadsheets, near and dear to my heart. And she ended up combining art and data into this graphical representation of data in various jobs she's had. And then after graduation, this timid kid who never tried anything new, she decides to move to Chicago. We're like, that's like a different state. You're moving to a whole new state. While she's at Chicago, at the first company, they have an opportunity for somebody to go to London. She says, hey, I think I'm gonna move to London. We're like, that's a whole nother country. It's like not another state, but another country. She moved to London, met some great people. A couple of her here tonight, Sarah Bourne and Alicia, and their boyfriends. Thank you for coming. She lived with Sarah and her family for 6 months to a year, 5 months, during COVID. Thank God that they were there for her. She moved home at the end of COVID, spent time with Andrea and I, and then she ended up getting a different job in Chicago. And again, back to Chicago with Mondelez and then to McDonald's. But the point is, in each of these jobs, she tried something entirely new. It wasn't something she was already a perfectionist at. So the growth in her from being a child to being an adult was amazing. And we've learned from her. Andrea and I have learned. Our default answer now is yes. Somebody asks us to do something, we say, hey, why not? Let's do it. Let's go experience something new. As our girls were growing up, we had a couple of marriage requirements. One was that whoever they married had to play golf. That's a big check. The two other items were not necessarily articulated, but they were definitely assumed. One, he must be an upstanding and fine young man. Check. And he must come from a family with solid values and a strong family background. Check. Which brings us to Matt. And you guys have heard some stories. If you were there last night and you were at the rehearsal dinner, or you're here today to hear our host speak, you'll hear some common themes here, which is good because I know these themes are right. They're not anything I've made up in my mind, but they're true. Matt met Lauren on that night in Chicago, walking home at night. I don't want to call him a stalker, but you draw your own conclusions. And then the first time we heard this guy, Matt, Lauren had been home for a visit, and she was taking the train from Ann Arbor back to Chicago, and she said, her friend Matt is going to pick her up at the train station. We're like, Matt? Who's this Matt? What is this Matt guy? He's going to pick you up from the train station. The first time we actually met Matt, I knew he was a good dude because we were at this Spanish tapas place in Chicago, and we were looking at the menu, and Matt and I were both eyeing the strawberry kiwi sangria. And we shared a picture, and I thought, this guy's okay. The second time we met was at Brian and Sarah's wedding. And so Matt basically spent the day with Andrea and I, driving around back and forth from the church to the hall, and it could have been a really uncomfortable situation, but it wasn't. It was very easy conversation. Matt is a very conversational guy, and it was just a very comfortable time. Now, Matt's competitive. He likes to work hard. He likes to win. He's a huge Jets fan, and being a Lions fan, I get the pain. Don't talk to him after a Jets loss. I can't tell you how many times I've sent Lauren a text on a Sunday afternoon saying, how's Matt? And she's like, don't go there. But I respect that competitiveness. He's obviously a people person, very caring. He's a willing communicator. If you know Matt, you know that. I think he takes after his mom, Brenda, in that respect. Maybe, a little bit. And Matt was immediately liked by our direct family and family members and friends. Anybody who knew him said, yeah, he's a really good guy. So what's the point? What's the point of these stories? So Matt was courageous enough and outgoing enough to meet someone on the streets of Chicago late at night. Lauren was open enough to say yes and accept an opportunity to meet someone. That has led us here today to celebrate this wedding. So let us say cheers to Matt and Lauren, the newly wedded couple, as they move forward in their marriage. May they build on the foundation they've established and live a life filled with love, faith, friendship, commitment, dedication, trust, honor, and children. Congratulations. We love you.
Give it up for Mike and that beautiful toast.
On a western bay, and it serves 100 ships of...
All right, family and friends, we do have a few more toasts in order this evening. First of which is going to be from our best man, Scott Mayer.
All right, let's give another big hand to the Siciliano family and the Ewan family for putting this beautiful wedding together. Come on. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Scott. And for those of you who do know me, I apologize. My full name is actually Scott. Would you like a drink? So if I see you at the bar later, please use my full name. So when Matt and I first met, it was at Marquette University. Go Eagles. And our friendship grew as we had very similar interests, like watching sports, playing video games, eating spicy sweet chili Doritos, the purple bag, our weird obsession for Adam Sandler, and just going to bars, hanging out with our friends. And after college, we both ended up living here in Chicago, where our friendship continued to grow. And after knowing Matt for a few years, I realized two things about him. A, he's the kind of guy who would literally do anything for his best friends. He would literally give me the shirt off his back today, if need be. But two, he can be kind of a psychopath sometimes, in a good way. One example of this was a few years ago in Chicago. I was living with two roommates. And around Christmas time, we decided to have a holiday party. So there was a good amount of people there, Matt included, and this is before he knew Lauren, by the way. And at one point in the night, we all decided, hey, let's take a shot of Rumpelmans. If you never had Rumpelmans, it's kind of like peppermint schnapps for the older people here. But we decided we were going to take these shots with a side of chocolate syrup as a chaser. The only thing was we didn't have any chocolate syrup. So Matt was nice enough. He said, you know what, hey, I'll go out, go grab some, be back real quick. I was like, awesome, what a nice guy. This is why I love Matt. So as we were waiting for Matt, I started to realize it was taking a little bit longer than expected. 5 minutes turned into 10 turned to 20, and before I know it, it was about a half an hour, and there's no sign of Matt. So everybody's getting a little antsy at my place, and they want to do the shot. So I said, you know what, let's just take the shots. I'm sure he'll be back soon, no worries. So we do it, we take the shots, and of course, right after we do it, Matt comes storming into my apartment. He's sweating, he's breathing heavily, and he's holding a giant coffee cup full of chocolate syrup with no lid on it, which was odd. And he immediately says, you guys have better not taken those shots. Which I said, yeah, we did. You were taking forever. Sorry. So he proceeded to yell at me and freak out for about the next 30 minutes, which I thought was a little overkill for the situation. But after I was able to calm him down, he told me that he had essentially gone all over the city, and every store he went on to was either closed. If they were open, they had no chocolate syrup. But the one place he found was a coffee shop near my place that was able to serve him some. So I feel like for most people in this situation, given this task, they go out, maybe they go to the first store, it's closed. They come back to the apartment. No big deal, right? But not Matt. That taught me something about Matt. That, when given the smallest task, he will go to great lengths to make sure that it's accomplished for the people he loves and cares about. And I know he's going to be doing this for Lauren for the rest of their lives. But Lauren, please make sure you always have chocolate syrup in your place so Matt doesn't suffer from PTSD. So a couple years later, after that incident, down the road, Matt meets Lauren. And I was happy for him. Lauren is an amazing person. But I wanted to make sure Lauren was going to be the right person for Matt. So there was an important question I had to ask her. And as you all should know, Matt is a big New York Jets fan. So one Sunday, I was over at their place, and we're watching football. And at one point, it was like me, Matt, and Lauren on their couch. Matt had gotten up, gone to the bathroom, gone somewhere. So it's just me and Lauren. So I knew this is my time to ask her this important question. So this is what I said. I go, Lauren, hypothetical. You and Matt are watching a Jets-Dolphins game. The Jets are down 35-0 at half. Matt's insisting you really watch the rest of the game. What are you doing? Are you watching the rest of the game with him? Are you making it an excuse and going out of the room, doing something else? I was like, be honest, I really don't care. And without hesitation, she said she would watch the rest of the game with him if that's what made Matt happy. Which I thought was, it's really nice, and it was the right answer. But it made me realize Lauren is an insane person, because watching the Jets get destroyed is a terrible experience. But on the flip side for Matt, and if there's any other Jets fans out there, if you find a girl who's, willing to watch the Jets get annihilated every Sunday, you marry that girl immediately. No, but in all seriousness, Lauren, you look stunning today. You're an amazing person. You're so kind. You're so nice. So I know you're the right person for Matt. So please never change. And as you two embark on this new chapter together, I would like to say a quote from the late, great Ozzy Osbourne. Maybe it's not too late to learn to love and forget how to hate. And their journey reminds everyone that with love, anything is possible. So now, instead of raising a glass in honor of the New York Jets, if you're willing to join me and stand up, I'd love to do a Jets chant right now. Come on. We got this. On my count, on 3. 1. No, 1, 2, 3. J-E-T-S, Jet. Woo! Let's go. Come on.
Thank you very much, Scott. Next, we're going to hear from our matron of honor, Sarah Schmidt.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sarah, Lauren's younger sister, lifelong best friend. Today, her very proud matron of honor. Growing up, Lauren and I were kind of like the human version of yin and yang. She has blonde hair, blue eyes. I have dark hair, brown eyes. I tan, she burns. She's a talented artist, and I can stay within the lines. And she has an incredible singing voice, and I sing in my shower. Our parents will tell you that she was always cautious as a young kid, hesitant to try new things, nervous when forced to do so, whereas I would jump right in with no cares in the world. However, I will tell you that the reason I had that confidence is because Lauren always showed me how to first. Okay, sorry. But even with all of our differences, at our core, we are very similar. We share the same sense of humor, have the same level of weirdness, and though we live in different states and are far from each other most of the time, get us in a room together for 20 minutes and we're saying the same thing at the same time. Lauren has always been my built-in best friend. She's the person I go to for laughs, emotional support, and most importantly, fashion advice, which also may include stealing from her closet whenever I can. One thing I've always admired deeply about Lauren is her generosity, not just with things, but with her time, her energy, and her love. She's also constantly stepping outside of her comfort zone, whether it's traveling somewhere new for vacation or to live there, jumping on the latest trends, going for a new job, or most importantly, deciding to spend the rest of her life with someone who challenges her in the best way. Which brings us to Matt. The first time I heard about Matt was at my sister-in-law's wedding, when I definitely looked over Lauren's shoulder to see a new name come through on Snapchat. It had only been a few weeks, she told me, but there was a little secret smile and a sparkle in her eye that made me understand this might be something special. Little did I know it would lead us here tonight. Now, over the next few months, I heard things were going well, heard great things about Matt, but nothing would be as telling as the first time we actually met. At my wedding, where he met me and my husband, my parents, and 200 of our closest friends and family. Of course, he was incredible. He went with the flow and charmed everybody he met in typical Matt fashion. Matt is one of the funniest people I've ever met. He's never met a stranger and can turn anything into a good time. Yet he also has a strong drive to better himself and provide for those he loves. His passion for cooking is also a major plus. He matches Lauren's generosity, and I think it's obvious by the number of friends they have here tonight that together they are the most fun to be around. Now, if you know both Matt and me, you won't be surprised to hear that we've had our competitive moments. But as Andrew can attest, that just means that you are formally accepted as my brother. The truth is, I wouldn't want anyone else to be standing by Lauren's side today. I see how you love her, support her, make her laugh, and encourage her to be her full self, and for that, I'm endlessly grateful. Lauren and Matt, you complement each other in the best ways. You're goofy together, grounded together, and stronger together. I see how deeply you love and prioritize each other. I've watched your relationship grow from something new and exciting into something real and lasting. You've created a foundation for an amazing life together, and I have no doubt that your marriage will be full of laughter and a whole lot of love. Matt, you and I are the luckiest two people on this planet. I got to grow up with Lauren. You get to grow old with her. Everyone, please raise your glass. May you always treat each other with respect, always find joy in the smallest, most mundane moments, and never stop laughing. Cheers to Lauren and Matt. And go Lions.
Welcome, everybody. Now, understand, I gave a speech last night at rehearsal dinner, so some of this is very repetitive. Some is not. But I want to extend thanks to all of you for sharing this day with Matt and Lauren. It means a lot to us, both families. But I want to say special thanks to 3 people I met that was, it was just special. Patricia, Diane, and Fred. It was special meeting you 3. These are the parents of both Mike and Andrea. If you have a chance, say hello to them tonight. You'll be fulfilled. Anyway, to top what the 3 speeches back here were, I'm not going to do that. But I do have something. If I can get the cancel off my phone. Okay. First of all, what an unbelievable day having you all here. Thank you. And I can't believe that Matt found someone who is willingly signed up to put up with his OCD, his 1,000 t-shirts, and 1,000,000 socks. And his ultimate quest for the perfect golf swing. That's tough. Good luck with that.
You're trying.
Matt, we have watched you grow from a curious, energetic kid into a man who's found someone truly special to share with your life with. Unbelievable. Lauren, what can I say? You are beautiful, and you know from the minute we saw you. You light up, your smile lights up a room. And knowingly, you acknowledge who has the crazier family. I will never let you forget that. It was at her bridal shower. You know, you carry a shoe and you ask a question, and you put up a shoe of the family, you know. She put up a shoe for our family. It's the craziest. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yep. Oh, no, Matt knew who was the crazier family. He had his shoe up, too. Yep. It was so funny. We were one Thanksgiving. It was the first Thanksgiving that Lauren spent at our house. And my mother, in her impeccable way, the way she would just lean over, and she would go, Georgie. Now, understand, she's the only one that calls me Georgie, so no. Well, there's actually two other people that call me Georgie. My brother and my cousin. So, that's okay. You two are good. But she would lean over and go, Georgie, she's the one. She's the one. And she knew that. She was great at character. So, and you knew she knew. So I'll get rid of the cancel sign there. In all seriousness, the two of you make an amazing pair. You balance each other out, you support each other, and most importantly, you make each other laugh. And that, I believe, is the secret to a happy marriage. Laugh. So here's to a lifetime of shared and adventures and occasional disagreements. And what football team is better? Unfortunately, the Lions are. The Jets suck. Don't cheer that. The Jets do suck. You can cheer that. May your life together be full of joy, laughter, and maybe even a few moments of peace and quiet. To Matt and Lauren, congratulations, and welcome to a beautiful chaos called marriage.
And next, we'll hear from our newlyweds.
Well, I'm sorry to the photographer. My button just popped off, so I know I was supposed to be buttoned all night, but we just want to say thank you. I mean, this turned out amazing. To our parents, Mike, Andrea, Brenda, George, God, thank you for everything up to this point, for the night. I can't say thank you enough. And our friends, without you guys, there are so many here. We rely on you more than you know. Just thank you. I can't say thank you enough. And most of all, to you, my bride, my wife, which is crazy. Lauren did so much to make this night possible. I wish I could say I was there. Lock and step. I was as supportive as I could be from the side of the couch. She did everything, and cheers to her. I mean, this was all you. So I know she has some people she'll thank. I'm going to hand it over to her, and
Again, echoing what Matt said, thank you all for being here. I know Chicago is not home for the majority of people, so it is a bit of a trek. It's almost a mini destination wedding for a lot of us. So it's one of those cliche things, look around the room, you're never gonna have this group of people around you again, but it's true. Like, you are the most important people to us. Obviously, there's a few that are missing, but this is the core group, and we couldn't thank you enough for being here to support us, not just now, but through our whole lives, from our childhood all the way to who we are today and who we will be in the future. So again, thank you, and let's party.